Okay, it's officially, well, it's nighttime, but it's day 4, and I'm kind of writing today off. Like, I barely got anything done in the morning. And by done, I mean I barely read anything. I did most of my reading today at lunch, so like a period of an hour. I did still manage to get 49 pages. Sorry, this is great camera work. My phone's charging, which is why I'm right here. But 49 pages into Someone You Can Build a Nest In. And I am currently at 26% of the way through the audiobook for Bury Your Gaze. So let's talk about Bury Your Gaze first, with the cover here. This book is really fun. And I really like that I have no idea what's about to happen, because like there's so many books that just give away everything in the blurb. So if you read the blurb, you know what's going to happen. I mean, barring some, my tongue. Barring some weird stuff that you just can't predict. Like, basically nothing is on the blurb for this one. I mean, the inciting incident, I think, is in the blurb, where it talks about the main character, Mrisha. He is a TV writer currently, but he came up as a horror movie writer, which is very important context. And the blurb just says that the studio execs have asked him to kill off his lesbian characters who are about to profess their love for each other. So the network's like, either they're alive and straight or they're dead and gay. You choose. And he's like gonna break his contract, I guess, and do what he wants. But then this weird stuff starts happening. So I'll stop there because I don't want to spoil anything. But I'm having a really good time. It appears that Chuck Tingle and I are way more simpatico on things that we like than I thought, because his persona is so overwhelming sometimes that you don't imagine that he's the kind of guy who sits at home on a Sunday and watches the X-Files, but it's very clear that he watches the X-Files. The main character is gay, and he's closeted to his family, but he's out in Los Angeles. So he has to navigate that, and I'm at the part right now where something really freaky is happening, and I don't like it. It's definitely freaking me out way more than Camp Damascus did. I will talk more about it once I'm further in and know what's going on, because right now I just have a guess as to what's going on, but I'm not positive, and I have no idea where it's going. So that's Bury Your Gaze. And then Someone You Can Build a Nest In. Like, I have no idea how to talk about this book. If you read the blurb, it's about a monster named Shash, which is a great name for a monster in a comedic romantic horror book, and it's fantasy, who is like this blob of flesh, and she exists, and she like can absorb things and make herself into a body. She's kind of a shapeshifter, and she can like take anything and make herself like a skeleton. And anyway, it's so tongue-in-cheek. It is exactly what I was wanting. And she is, like, it opens up with this, like, really cozy, like, you know, that the opening to The Hobbit, in a hole in the ground there lived a hobbit, and, like, Tolkien really paints that cozy picture of like, the hobbit hole and Bilbo living there. So John Wiswell does that, but her hobbit hole... Her childhood nest is the corpse of her father, who she ate for sustenance, and then killed her brothers and sisters and ate them too. And it's not even a joke. She just genuinely looks back on these memories with extreme nostalgia and fondness. And like, she says, nothing was as cozy as the corpse of my father, or something like that. I can't remember. Oh God, it's so funny. Let me see if I can pull a quote out. Anyway, so right now she's been attacked by some villagers who finally managed to like get her out in the open, just because she's not at full strength, because she got interrupted in the middle of her hibernation, and then she got poisoned. So normally she'd be able to outsmart and shapeshift everyone, but she can't right now because she's sick. And so she's been rescued by this woman named Homily, that's also in the synopsis, and presumably Shash is about to like decide that she wants to lay her eggs in Homily and make her her baby's father. But something's going to get in the way of that, and they're going to fall in love. That's my prediction. Okay, so I found the first quote that I marked. 2 men that have been hired to kill Shash have entered the cave and woken her up. This is basically on page like 4. And they're talking, and they're like, it smells disgusting in this cave, guys. This is not a worm, which I think they mean a dragon, but it's not a worm. It's something else. The one called Malik spat upon the floor. He didn't clean up after himself, which is a great detail. Then what is it? The one called Rourke muffled his coughing, probably behind a fist. I'm not sure, but we need priests, at least 3 of them. Sheshan liked priests. They tasted righteous. Literally, when I was reading this at lunch, I had to stop and laugh, and my coworkers were like, what are you doing? There's too many quotes to pull. I can't. I'm getting overwhelmed. So what I'll do is I'll try and mark some quotes going forward, and then next time I give you an update, I'll give you some quotes, because the whole thing is just like, it's great. I'm having a great time. I was worried too, because I'd seen some reviews of people giving it like 3 stars, 2 stars, and I just was hoping and crossing my fingers like that they just didn't understand, that they just didn't get it. And I feel like that's going to be the case. I feel like I get it. I understand what's going on here. And I can't explain it fully, but it's hitting me in just like every place, and like the humor place and the emotion place at the same time. And I already love Sheshan, and Homilie's pretty good too. I'm going to go to bed now because I have to wake up early to buy a book. There's a sale going on Fairy Loot for Queen Bee. And it's the sale for people who bought the previous book starts at 4 a.m. my time. I know I don't have to get up. I could probably be okay. It's not the most popular series, but I'm gonna. I mean, I get up at 5:30 anyway, so like it's just an hour and a half earlier. So whatever. But yeah, today was kind of a bust. It was a Monday. I had to edit the video from yesterday and I had to upload it, and got distracted by other people's Summerween videos, and I just didn't get very much reading done. So I mean, I got a little bit of audiobook. Like, I did pretty good with the audiobook reading, but I could have done better. Well, maybe not, because I had so much stuff to do at work that involved non-quiet things. Like, I had to be talking to people and listening, whatever. I'm going to go to bed now. This, by the way, is my shirt for the day. Not that you got to see it much. And I'll have another one for tomorrow. Good night. Update. Here's today's spooky shirt. It says Future Ghost. One can only hope. I'm so sleepy tonight because I woke up at 4 a.m. to buy that book, which I got it. Okay, so quick update. Number 1, I've started 2 new books. Number 2, I haven't gotten that much farther in the other books that I was reading. Let's talk real quick about Someone You Can Build a Nest In. I just really haven't had much reading time. I don't know what's going on right now. Like, I really wish I should have just taken vacation time for Summerween and just done nothing. But I didn't do that, so here we are. I'm on page 1, is that 106? Yeah, 106. The font is really small and I'm old. 106 of Someone You Can Build a Nest In, and I'm still loving it. So the ending is going to tell whether or not this is 5 stars, because I love the tone, I love the characters, it's funny, and it's got like a heart to it, but I need the ending to stick, and then I might give it 5 stars. We'll see. But I told you I'd pull a quote. So there's a couple. The first one is that there was a line in here. Let me see if I can find it. About consent. So Sheshan has been rescued by Homilie, and they're in her wagon driving somewhere. And she says this: like in the wagon, Homilie did not fully touch her, meaning she reached and waited for consent. Consensual touch was a foreign idea. And when I read that, I was like, that's interesting, because you always think about monsters in the context of, I don't know however you want to define a monster, but like, what if we defined a monster as somebody who is completely against the idea of consent? And like, Sheshan is not a monster in the sense that she's evil, but until now she has not. I mean, she just eats people. She just kills people and eats them, and she's the only one who exists. So in a way, she sort of is a monster at the beginning of this book. And then she meets this person. Like, she's been alone her whole life, basically, except for her pet bear, Blueberry. And I don't know, it's interesting. Sorry, my arm hurts. I'm trying to get a good position. I really need one of those gimbals. I need one. So it's something interesting to think about. And then now she's like becoming a part of a community. So it's different. Things are changing. I have to go back to this arm, even though it hurts. It's just not as good with my left. Okay, and then the other quote I wanted to pull, just to give you an idea of the writing. So Sheshan has decided that for Homilie's comfort, she wants Homilie to come back to her lair. But her lair, as mentioned previously, I believe I mentioned previously, is very stinky. Like, it's foul. Because she's been living by herself and not cleaning anything for her entire life. And she just eats things and leaves them lying around and secretes substances, and there's like, it's nasty. So she bullies this guy named Laurent, who tried to kill her the night before because her face had sprouted tentacles. The book is so weird. And she goes up to him and she says this. She asks him to get like 3 to 5 villagers, or get people to go to her lair and clean it for her, because she wants to take Homily back to her lair. Okay? So this was what she tells him. She didn't care what parts he was willing to have eaten. She sealed his mouth closed with a generous, gentle squeeze of both tendrils. The man whined until she gave him a stare. Then he knew to listen. Shasheshan said, "One of 2 things is going to happen tonight. I could eat every piece of you that you don't need to stay alive until there is nothing but a fleshless bundle of organs and prime bones. Then I will swallow your still sobbing self inside of my flesh and keep you alive and make your mouth my own. I will hunt your family down and work your jaw such that I eat with your own mouth. Only then, when there is nothing left of you, will I swallow you and let you weep in an oblivion of stomachs." And then she goes, "Or, do you want to hear the or?" There's just such like a, I don't know, there's like this weird mix of emotion that's happening in this character that I'm just really into. It kind of makes me feel similar to the way I feel when I'm reading Gideon the Ninth, but Shasheshan is very different from Gideon. I mean, they both have sort of a golden retriever energy. Maybe that's like, they just exist and they're like bundles of, you know, kind of thing. So I'm liking that. Okay, so that's that. I barely got any further in Bury Your Gaze today because, like I said, it was freaking me out. I listened to like 5% more. I just decided I needed a break, which brings me to my second thing. Is just the 2 books I started. So actually, I started Cujo this morning because I was Googling horror books that take place in the summer, and I saw Cujo, and I forgot to show you guys Cujo. It was on my list of books that I wanted to read because I have You Like It Darker, which is his new Stephen King's new short story collection, and it has a sequel to Cujo in it, but I have to read Cujo first. I have it, so I decided, hey, it takes place in the summer. And then, of course, you lovely people left comments saying, hey, this one takes place in the summer. This one takes place, and I'm like, well, I could have realized that. But it's fine. I need to read Cujo. I'm very not far into it, though. I'm like only 30 pages, and I'm really kind of upset already because I know the dog's going to die. Like, does anyone not know the dog dies? Like, it dies. But there's like a POV chapter right where I'm at, like from the dog's perspective, and it's really sweet. And so now I'm sad and I don't want to read it. But anyway, so I started Cujo. But then I also started another audiobook because my friend Jessie has this quarterly microhistory book club where we read microhistories. Like, we read Butts, and we read Raw Dog, and we read Let's Go to the Mall. And then there's this book called Oeuvre, something in 12 Eggs. I didn't read that one, but they've read it. And then this time we're reading Over My Dead Body by Greg Melville, which is about cemeteries. We are then on Friday. I have to finish it by Friday because book club is happy hour dinner at this pizza place that used to be a funeral home in Tucson. When we're done, we're going to go out and around, and there's a bar in the basement that's also themed. So we're going to chill and have drinks after we eat our pizza in the funeral home. So it's appropriate. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to read until I can't like read with my eyes anymore. I'm going to read I'm going to read Someone You Can Build a Nest In. I want to try and get to page 150 or 200. Most likely it's going to be 150. And then you'll see I'll cut in footage. I'm going to finally fulfill the prompt of reading a book in the dark. I am going to, I think, listen to some of Over My Dead Body, maybe like 15 minutes to get that prompt in. I might also read Bury Your Gaze. I don't know. I'll let you know which one I choose, whatever I'm in the mood from in a half an hour or whatever it's going to take me. And then after that, I'll see you in the morning. Okay, so about last night, when I laid down to listen to my book, for those of you who, very few of you who watched my video last year where I read in the dark, you might remember that I fell asleep. So I took precautions and I set a timer just in case that happened. So I pretty much fell, I didn't think that I fell asleep, but I guess I did, because like I thought like 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes had passed, and I was like, well, I don't know where I am in my audiobook, and so I kept going back and back, and I was like, oh, what is the last thing that I remembered? So I finally got the idea that I could look at the footage and see how long the timestamp was, and it was 26 minutes. So I now have footage of me sleeping for 26 minutes. Also, I had a timer because I had a candle and I didn't want my house to burn down, just in case. So I'm gonna update you on Bury Your Gaze, which I finished, and Cujo, which I am still the same amount into, and we'll talk about that in a sec. And Over My Dead Body, which is what I was listening to last night. Actually, false. That one I will update when I finish it, because I'm just really not gonna have a lot to say about it. But before I lose the light, I do want to film a quick video here because I don't know what I want to read next. And I have 3 choices out of the ones that I showed you. Like, these are the ones that are calling to me the most. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read the first chapter and I'm gonna see which one is calling to me the most right now. All of these are books I want to read, but I can tell, I think I know which one I'm gonna pick unless something goes terribly wrong. But I'll tell you right now, the first one, kitties, is horror movie. The second one is DIAVOLA, and the third one is Into the Drowning Deep. So all of these look great to me, and I'm not sure which one I want to read. They all have ups and they all have their ups. This one would give me like some weirdness, like mixed media stuff, which I'm into. Plus I'm just curious because a lot of people have been reading it and I want to see what they're talking about for Summerween specifically. And then DIAVOLA, Lindsay said takes place in the summer, which duh. So I don't think I'm gonna finish Cujo in time, which is what I wanted to talk about. So if I'm not, then I definitely still need a summer prompt. And I don't know if Into the Drowning Deep or horror movie take place in the summer, but this one does for sure. But I'll probably know soon if they take place in the summer, so I don't know. But all that to say is I'm probably gonna not finish Cujo for Summerween, which is fine. I'd rather finish one of these. I will finish Cujo by the end of the month. And then this one is honestly the one that I'm being drawn to the most, but it is also the longest by 200 pages. So I don't know if I can finish it in one day. So it's entirely going to depend on how into it I am on whether or not I read this one. So I will, if it takes place during the summer, I can start it tonight because I can just stop reading Cujo until Summerween's over. And then probably I'll do it. Otherwise, it's just gonna really have to like pull me in, because if I'm really, really, really into a book, I can read a super long book in a day. But I have to really, really be into it. Like, oh my God, I've forgotten that I'm a person into it kind of a thing, which doesn't happen that often. I can be really into a book, but I still need to take breaks. Like when I'm really into a book, like everything else is gone. Like I forget to eat, that kind of stuff. So anyway, I'm gonna go away, read these first chapters, and then come back to you and let you know which one I picked. Okay, real quick. So here is how they rank currently in terms of level of interest. DIAVOLA is the least. I'm sure it gets good, but the first chapter was just not, like, it didn't suck me in. Into the Drowning Jeep was really interesting. But horror movie has a first person protagonist, and the movie thing is like something I'm really into right now. So, and it's short. It's shorter than this one. If we're being honest, like I might have a harder time choosing, but this one's shorter. So I'm reading horror movie. It takes place in the summer. So goodbye Cujo for now. Also, I forgot while I was reading this, I realized that I need to finish. I have 60 pages left of Someone You Can Build a Nest In, and then I'll check in about that tonight. And when I finish it, I'll start horror movie. Okay, bye.
Okay, I'm sleepy, so I'm gonna go to bed. I have 30 pages left. Sorry, I have my night guard in. I have 30 pages left of Someone You Can Build a Nest In, and I'm falling asleep. And I really like this book, so I don't want to be sleepy brain reading it. I want to be like awake brain reading it. So I might even have to reread the last chapter because. Like, does anyone else's when they're reading at night and they're, like, real sleepy, like, your right eye just starts to close? Like, because by the time, this is what I look like. Like, when I'm tired. And by the time I realize I'm doing it, I'm like, oh, I need to go to bed. But this eye is, like, more tired than this eye or something. Whatever. I'm going to bed. I'll see you in the morning.
It's a good thing Summerween is over now. Well, almost. Because I've run out of clean spooky shirts after this. This is it. You guys didn't get to see my one from yesterday because I filmed my tired clip and then fell asleep. But I was wearing a ghost that was doing this. I love that sweatshirt. Nobody ever sees this. They only see the cute ghost with the big eyes. Anyway, I have lots of updates for you. So first thing first, I actually have finished 2 audiobooks. So I finished Over My Dead Body, which was all about graveyards and cemeteries and all that stuff. And it, like, individually, everything was pretty interesting, but I said this in a Goodreads status update. The thing with microhistories is you really have to have a really good sense of structure and, like, a way to bring it all together, because otherwise you wind up making the reader feel like they're just afloat in a random sea of facts, which is how I felt this whole time. Like, I was, like, tuning in and out, like, when things interested me, when they didn't, and it could have been, like, so much better if there would have been a clear structure and, like, an overarching point or something. I don't know. It just felt like, let's write a bunch of stuff about graveyards and smush it into a book. That's pretty much what it was. I mean, it was funny, and he had like a really engaging writing style, and I always enjoyed myself while I was paying attention. Anyway, I'm giving it 3.5 stars rounded down. That's number 1. Number 2, I actually started and finished an audiobook today because I wanted a short audiobook to finish off Summerween, because I'm like halfway through a couple non-Summerween audiobooks, and then I was like, I need one more to finish it out. So I ended up finding an Agatha Christie on Everand, and I'm still mad that that's what it's called now. I'll never get over it. So I ended up starting Endless Night, which is one of her later works. It was published in 1967, and it's one of the ones that is a standalone. So no Marple, no Poirot, no other random characters that she wrote series about. A one-off. I enjoyed myself a lot. I did sort of guess what was going to happen. Not the details of it, but like the overarching plot. And that's just because at this point, I've read a lot of Agatha Christie, and at that point, Agatha Christie had written a lot of Agatha Christie. So I feel like it was inevitable that she'd have some reruns and like remixing of things that she'd already done. But also she remixed it in such a way that was one of the darkest things, if not the darkest thing she ever wrote, probably. Whoa, that was bleak. I mean, it was really well done. I'm not even going to tell you what it's about because it's too hard to talk about. The murder doesn't even happen till like over halfway through. So you really have to wait for it. Anyway, I enjoyed it. And then I'll just say what I'm currently reading right now. I'm going to try and finish it before I go to bed so I can officially have finished it. And that's Horror Movie by Paul Tremblay. I am currently 63 pages in. I got that much pretty much at lunch. And my lunch is like after I eat 45 minutes. So I feel like I could finish this tonight if I don't get super tired. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to get real close at the very least. But the interesting thing about this is I'm really curious to see what my rating's going to be, because the book that I finished before that one, I gave 5 stars. So this is my second 5-star book in a row, and my second 5-star of Summerween. Some of the ones that I read earlier in Summerween, particularly The Eyes Are the Best Part, like those are sitting in my head, like brewing, but like, when I finished them, they were not 5 stars, so I'm not counting them. This one was 5 stars. This is exactly what I thought it was going to be and what I wanted it to be when I read the blurb. Exactly. So I'm sad for the people on Goodreads who obviously went in expecting something different. I just feel like I knew. Like, I read the blurb and I knew. I was like, me and the author, we are on the same wavelength. I mean, I don't want to say too much more because I don't want to spoil anything for anyone who does want to read this, but I tabbed a lot of stuff after I updated the last time. And it wasn't all silly, funny stuff. It was heartfelt stuff and like overarching thematic stuff. And this was the perfect amount of heartwarming seriousness mixed with absolutely bananas weirdness. Oh my God. I'm just thinking about a scene near the end. It's very queer. It's very conscious of disability. Some people had a problem with the tone in that, like, the main character seems to have modern values. But I mean, like, what's the point? Why would you want to write a main character in a book like this with the goals this book has that doesn't have modern sensibilities? That complaint doesn't make sense to me. Let me see if I can find a couple of good quotes to read out that won't spoil anything and that will give you more of a feel of, oh, great. This really bodes well for me finishing this. Oh, that's a sad one. I don't want to read that. Oh, yeah. Okay. So in this book, whatever type of monster Shasheshan is, she's got like 2 weaknesses. First one being fire. And the second one is that rosemary is poisonous to her. Basically anything else she can deal with, like chop her in half, stab her, like whatever. So those are the 2 things. And at the moment of this scene that I'm talking about, she is with Homily, meeting Homily's, well, I think she might have met them already, but she's having dinner with Homily's family, okay? And she's in disguise as Siobhan. Nobody knows she's the monster that they're all looking for. And everybody knows about the rosemary somehow. So they're having people drink stuff with rosemary in it and cover themselves in rosemary oil and all this other stuff so that the monster can be ferreted out, or protection from the monster, or whatever. Okay, that's the context. With her elbow up, she gave the impression of taking a long drink from the glass. Inside her, she grabbed one of those lungs humans liked so much and held the opening of it to the back of her mouth. All the unwanted rosemary poison went straight into the lung, a temporary bladder that, being human grown, would not wilt from the poison. The poison still tried to burn and osmose its way through the lung's membranes, and she forced the lung lower in her body, through one leg, until the entire organ was discreetly shitted into her boot. Baroness Wolfire asked, "Enjoying yourself?" Sorry. I don't have quite the tone how to perform this voice as I hear it in my head. But when I read, until the entire organ was discreetly shitted into her boot. Shasheshan is just a blob. She's a blob, and she can shapeshift, and she can form and, like, cut, So she's just, like, moving an extra lung out and then just boop into her boot. I don't know why I think that's so funny. Let's see what else we got. Nope, that's sad also. This is a lot, like, there's moments of a sadness in here that I really did not expect. But I'm glad they're there. I love lots of tones inside of one book. Oh, this is just a good line. Oh, here's a good one. Okay, she's talking about overcoming trauma and letting yourself love somebody here. Thank you, Pippin. That wasn't how it worked, and the monster knew it. All Shasheshan could do for Homily was be patient with her and make space for her, and eventually, one day behind her back, eat her mother. So good. Anyway, I highly recommend this. Just know what you're getting into. It's a mishmash of tones. It's very silly, very gross. Okay, Pippin, thank you. Oh, great asexual rep in here. That's 2 books in a row with great asexual rep. And then with that said, I'm going to go and try to beat my yawning... I cursed myself. I was going to say I'm trying to beat my yawning tiredness to finish this book. It's going to bother me if I can't finish it before Summerween's over. Have until midnight. We're wrapping up this vlog. I'm back where I started. First of all, if my hair looks weird, I'm facing the sun and I can't actually see what it looks like. Whatever. It's fine, I'm sure. So firstly, let's wrap up this vlog. I read a total of 5 books. I did 3 audiobooks. Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle, which I gave 5 stars. And then I gave 3.5 stars to Over My Dead Body. Is that what it's called? By Greg Melville. And then I read Endless Night by Agatha Christie, which I gave 4 stars. In terms of physical books, I read Someone You Can Build a Nest In by John Wiswell. I gave this 5 stars. And then horror movie, this is the one I need to wrap up. So I have very strange feelings about this book. It was extremely readable. I enjoy pretension that pokes fun at itself, which is, I feel like, what Paul Tremblay does. Hold on, I have to fix my hair. I can see it a little better now, and it looks so weird. Okay, whatever, I don't care. If I sneeze, also, I apologize. My allergies are insane. I'm a human snot factory. So, horror movie. This book, I genuinely don't know how I feel about it. Like, I liked the experience of reading it. It felt immersive. It felt really well put together, but I don't know how I feel about it. It hasn't quite clicked in my head also, like what it's about. In a way, I kind of liked Paul Bearer's Club better, which that's a book most people don't like, so I'm in a very exclusive club for that one. But I understood what that one was going for. This one, I'm not quite sure what the point was, but I think I liked it, and Compile says it's a 4. Basically what this book is about is there is an unnamed main character, and he is narrating an audiobook about the making of this horror movie called Horror Movie that was never actually released. It was filmed over the summer when he was in his young 20s, and he played this character called the Thin Kid, who also didn't have a name. And something went wrong on the movie set, although we don't find out exactly what until like very near the end. Although we get foreshadowing and hints and stuff all throughout. And the movie was never released. Decades after its failure, or maybe like 15 years after, the director of the movie released 3 fully cut scenes onto YouTube along with the script in order to plant a seed for future interest in someone actually finally making this movie and bringing the screenwriter, whose name was Cleo, who is now dead, as is everyone else but the main character who made the movie, to make sure that her vision is achieved. And this movie, the whole screenplay is in this book. So we get flashbacks to, there's 2 audiobook time sections of him saying what's going on in the first person. There's him saying the original filming of the movie, and then there's him being asked to come back for the remake/reboot. And then there's the timeline in the middle also where he talks about meeting with Valentina just before her death. The director is Valentina. This is interwoven throughout where we get the script of the full movie. It's a very strange script, apparently, and it acknowledges that it's a very strange script. So it was interesting, but the actual movie itself, I don't think I understood. Like, it was disturbing, but like, I don't know if I understand the point. In the book, it's said a couple of times that it's a screenplay about depression, and that this book is grappling with depression. But also something happens with the main character that I was just like, what? What does that mean? You can never tell with Paul Tremblay because he's such a cerebral guy that like what he's going for, like everything has a purpose, but also some stuff he just thinks is cool. I can't tell if the ending is just one of those like, I think this is cool, or if it's going for something. I don't know. I'm just baffled by this book. And I liked it, but also like, what does it mean?
What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?
I don't know, guys. Apparently the audiobook is great, but I did the physical copies. Let's look at all the books I read and sum up what challenge. I got all the challenges, okay? I don't think I remember the order I read these in, but I read The Eyes Are the Best Part by Monica Kim. This was read a thriller or horror book. Gave this 4 stars. Then I read House of Last Resort. Gave this 1 star by Christopher Golden. Ironically, I saw an interview with the author of this book saying she loved this book. I don't know why. Yeah, gave this 1 star. This was a book with five words in the title. Then I listened to the audiobook of Stepford Wives. Gave this 4 stars. Didn't count for any challenges. Then I read physically The Book of the Most Precious Substance by Sarah Gran. I also gave this 4 stars. This did not count for any challenges. Then I read, I don't have a physical copy, Bury Your Gaze, which was 5 stars. And I didn't count that for any challenges. I listened to Over My Dead Body, read that one in the dark, and then I gave that one 3.5 stars. Endless Night was 4 stars, didn't count for any challenges. Someone You Can Build a Nest In by John Wiswell, gave this 5 stars. Did this count for a challenge? It did. What was it? Read a Book with a Night Sky on the cover. Gave this 5 stars. And then last but not least, read a book set in summer. Gave this 4 stars. So total, I read 9 books, which I think is pretty good. These are the physical copies that I have. All in all, it was a highly successful Summerween, and I had a great time, and I enjoyed filming this video. If you've made it to the end of this video and you don't have anything else to say, please feel free to leave me a lizard for a horror movie. And if you like the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe if you wanna. If you want more content like this, it really helps me out. So that's it. Happy Summerween. I will see you guys soon in a video that I don't remember, but I'm sure it's happening. I'm sure it's happening. Okay, love you, bye.